What's up, guys? So if you couldn't tell from the title, this review is going to have spoilers in it. And the main reason is because when you review a movie, you're basically telling people about your experience while enjoying a piece of art. I was still able to scrape some enjoyment out of the movie, but there was a lot of shit that got ruined for me. And half the time it was shit that wasn't even attempting to spoil the movie. Watch the movie, and then if you want to listen to me bitch about it for a little while, then come back and watch this review. So you've been warned. Spoilers are happening right about now. First of all, when you go to the Wikipedia page, who the villain is spoiled, like, immediately. Like, you already know Kevin Spacey's in the movie, so you're, like, expecting to see him. And occasionally, on some YouTube videos, there's, like, thumbnails of him in the desert, so I'm just like, oh, well, I know the movie's gonna fucking end up now. And somebody else spoiled for me, like, how he, like, doesn't have fingerprints because he'll, like, cut a little bit of himself every time he does a crime or some shit like that. And I did a little bit of reading, and apparently Kevin Spacey was not in the marketing, like, whatsoever at all. Not in the trailers, not in the press junkets, nothing. So when Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman go to his apartment and like, the assailant starts shooting at them, I'm like, oh, that's Kevin Spacey with the no fingertips. I wonder how long it's gonna be before I see his face. And I think I was going through the channels one day, and I think I just, like, you know, unintentionally just kind of hit Se7en, and I, like, randomly stumbled in on the part where Morgan Freeman is explaining, like, where he figures out that the 7 deadly sins are, like, the focal point of the murderers, and I'm just like, okay, well, I know basically half of this movie now. And then this is super shitty, because I would have really liked to have been surprised by this. But the scene where all the car fresheners are hanging from the ceiling, and you think that that dude in the bed is dead, and then he just, like, pops up and he's actually alive, that was ruined for me in some bullshit VH1 I Love the 90s thing, where they just showed the scene. Like, flat out. Like, they just showed that scene. So as soon as I saw them go into that one room with all the fucking things hanging from it, I'm like, I know exactly what's gonna happen. Fuck you, VH1. And somebody said something about a severed head at one point, so I knew that was coming. And then, you know, Brad Pitt's most infamous line ever, "What's in the box?" I've heard that from, like, at least 10 different people. So basically, what I'm getting at is 2/3 of the movie was completely just ruined for me, like, throughout the years randomly. The only things that I didn't know were that Kevin Spacey and Brad Pitt were basically the last two 7 deadly sinners, and I did not know that Gwyneth Paltrow was the one whose head was in the box. And I didn't know that Brad Pitt was going to shoot Kevin Spacey a bunch of times. So besides that, I didn't have nearly as good of an experience as pretty much everybody else did when they saw this movie for the first time. All that being said, I'm going to have to abstain from giving a score to this movie because it's not fair to anybody who is involved with it. But I feel like if I did watch this movie for the first time knowing nothing, I would have given it something above an 8, for sure. Because I think really the only thing in the movie that I didn't like or was, like, not satisfied with was Brad Pitt's acting for, like, the first half hour. Like, I understand, like, why he is the way he is, because he had to be, like, this douchey late 20s, early 30s something that is, like, way too sure of himself and is just, like, kind of a douche, really. But I just thought it was, like, really just he was over projecting, and I just, like, it took me out of the movie. Like, I'm just like, why does he sound so retarded right now? And when he says, "What's in the box" later, I'm just like, did you really have to deliver the line like that? Because no. Like, literally, that's pretty much the only thing that I saw was wrong with the movie. But I can't tell you how great all the other shit was because all the reasons that I listed before. Like, besides Brad Pitt, like, all the acting was great. I thought Kevin Spacey was really creepy and weird, and you kind of, like, sympathize with Brad Pitt just, like, fucking shooting the shit out of him at the end of the movie. Because I already don't like religious fanatics, and to see that, like, to that extreme, like, made me hate him even more. Morgan Freeman is Morgan Freeman. He knows everything, and he is a wise old man, as per usual. However, I will say one thing that was kind of lacking. I feel like Fincher did a way better job on Fight Club. Like, that is one of my favorite movies of all time. The visual style was less refined than Fight Club was, though. And Se7en did have a good amount of social commentary, as did Fight Club. However, Se7en's was a little bit more, like, held back. Like, it was more kind of, like, in the background, per se. The only time that it's kind of, like, in your face is when Brad Pitt is, like, interrogating Spacey in the back seat. But Fight Club is, like, a very particular movie that kind of requires that kind of thing. So it's a little unfair to compare those two, but I just couldn't help but think about it. Essentially what I mean is they used it sparingly in Se7en, but when they did use it, it was very effective. And I thought it was cool how it was always raining, and that just kind of, like, set the tone for the movie. That was pretty smart. However, and again, I thought he did a way better job in Fight Club with this, because Fight Club had a lot of, it was a very colorful palette, but it was really, like, low-key. Like, a lot of the colors were very muted. Like, if you pay attention, there's a lot of diverse, like, colors, like, throughout Fight Club, just in, like, random things. And Se7en just felt a little bit too muted, but that's kind of because I saw Fight Club first, so I'm not gonna fault the movie for that. If for no other reason, it just kind of, like, fit the cloudy nature behind the movie. And I also believe that in Fight Club, Fincher and Brad Pitt kind of, like, hit their peak together as far as, like, collaborating on a movie. Because, like I said, I thought he was just a little bit too douchey and a little bit too loud. It felt like they were both trying too hard. That's what it felt like. It didn't happen throughout the whole movie, but there were some really noticeable parts. Like, the only reason why What's in the Box is so quotable is because of Brad Pitt's, like, asinine delivery. But anyway, despite all that, I actually did enjoy the film for what it was. Like, this dark, crime noir, like mystery thriller. And I don't recall seeing a whole lot of movies that are like this one. But sadly, the build of suspense was just lost on me the majority of the time because I already knew it was going to happen. And I have to say there was quite a bit of like fairly disturbing shit that goes on in the movie. But Fincher tends to do that. Like he's a pretty ballsy filmmaker in my opinion. So like I said before, I'm not going to give this movie a score because I don't think it's fair because I didn't view it in the way that, you know, the filmmakers intended me to. But if you know somebody hasn't seen this movie, don't fucking spoil anything for it. Like this is a cardinal reason as to why you don't spoil movies for people. Or at least don't spoil it if they value like the art of film the way that people like me do. Because if anybody had spoiled The Sixth Sense for me, I would have probably punched them in the balls because that's kind of a big deal. Now spoilers don't matter for every single movie, but this is one of those movies where it just like completely changes your outlook of it. And while I didn't have a negative experience, it's not as good as it could have been, and I'm kind of bummed out about that. Luckily, there's hundreds of movies that I still can be surprised by, so good for me. But anywho, I'm done yapping at you for today, so hope you liked the review. If you did, drop a comment. If you liked the movie a lot, let me know how you felt about it. Or if you've ever had a movie spoiled so badly for you that it just completely ruined your experience and you're kind of annoyed by it, feel free to leave a comment and vent about it. As long as you leave a spoiler warning just so people don't get pissed off. And by people, I pretty much mean me. Other than that, just like, subscribe, do all that other shit, and I'll catch you guys later.